Welcome to r/Entitledparents, where an entitled mother steals a child's cat. Hiya Reddit, I posted here a while back about an entitled dad making fun of me for stuttering in a coffee shop. This little gem occurred mid last year. Also, there's going to be a lot of hard to pronounce words here, so just in the slim chance Yugo's "Hey, that's me, I'm Yugo's owner" covers this, I'm going to include pronunciation tips. So for context, I was born in a county in North Wales called Gwynedd, and as such, I'm part of a tiny minority because I didn't even begin learning English until I was about 11 or 12. I'm 21 now. So naturally, I'm much more comfortable speaking my native language, Welsh. Now, because I wasn't content to be a farmer or a primary school teacher, I moved down south and ended up in Cardiff where only something like 7% of people can speak any Welsh. No problem, I'm confident enough speaking English by now. I should also preface that I'm autistic and not good with confrontation at all. I also stutter a lot when I speak English. So I've been working in a coffee shop for a little while now, dealing with people and just generally starting to get settled in. One day I meet a kindred spirit. This elderly man who's been coming in regularly more for company than for coffee. Whenever I see him, I get his order ready right away and I sit with him when I've got a spare few minutes. I say he's a kindred spirit because he's another native Welsh speaker but speaks very little English. I find that a bit odd considering he lives in Cardiff, but over the next few days he tells me about his life. Old Grandpa tells me how he grew up in Pulshelly, which made me really happy because I'm from Caernarfon, which is just a little ways north. He tells me how he owned a fishing boat and used to make his living while his wife worked as a teacher. They moved down to Cardiff together into a really big house when his wife finally retired, and this went pretty smoothly since she could speak fluent English and handled most things outside. Recently, old Grandpa's wife died of leukemia, which has made life a lot harder for him. The guy had a fantastic sense of humor, and I was happy to sit and keep him company, if only for a little here and there. I guess it was nice for him to actually be able to have a solid conversation with someone. My manager used to know the guy's wife, as both of them came in here a lot before I started working, so he was always sympathetic and made sure to pick up the slack a little bit as a result of me chatting with him. Even though I'm not fantastic at being social, old Grandpa had a great outlook on life, even for a widower. He always had the most interesting stories to tell, including one time he recounted how he swam back to shore after his little sailboat capsized in a storm. He always just had this "F all of you, I'm my own free person" kind of attitude, which I admired a lot. One day we're gibbering away, and this entitled mother comes over with a little boy's hand clutched in hers. "Shouldn't you be doing your job?" "Oh, it's fine, don't worry. I'm still clearing tables, but my manager asked me to keep an eye on this gentleman." Old Grandpa is confused at this point, barely understanding a word, so I explained to him that she's just asking about something. "What? What was that?" She's getting really in my face now. I'm starting to get extremely nervous and I can barely get my words out. "What did you say to him? Here you are, slacking off. Speak English." Old Grandpa says, "Poyu he?" which translates to, "Who's she?" I explained to old Grandpa that she's demanding we speak English. At this point, I'm just kind of stalling talking directly to this woman as I'm not even sure what to say. The little kid she's with is looking slightly alarmed at what his mom is doing. "You're in Wales. Speak English for God's sake, not this Middle Eastern garbage." Excuse me?" "You heard me." "Mom, are we getting food yet?" "Not yet. Mummy's talking." Old Grandpa says, "Dweetim un Sharud Seasnig?" which translates to, "But I don't know any English." This sends entitled mother into a right huff, and she looks around the shop, appealing to the other customers. "Sorry, but I don't appreciate lazy foreigners in my country. In my coffee shop." Yes, she really said my. "What kind of example are you setting for my son?" At this point, another customer, who undoubtedly heard old Grandpa and I having a very animated conversation, calls for her from the other side of the shop and says, "Hey lady, you're in Wales. They're speaking Welsh. You knew that, right?" A few other customers start giggling a bit before shaking their heads dismissively and going back to what they were doing. "Stay out of it," she snaps at the customer, then turns back to me. Although she's certainly gone a deep shade of red now. She's obviously doubling down. At this point, I'm just kind of frozen in social anxiety, not sure how to turn my mind words into mouth words anymore. Yeah, we're in what? Go on, say something then, and it better be in English. I looked briefly to old grandpa, who just had this evil, malicious compliance-like grin on his face. Old grandpa says, in the thickest Welsh accent you can imagine, and for clarity, I don't really know what a Welsh accent sounds like, so I apologize to all the Welsh people out there. Turn around! Turn around! Go right now! Finger your mum, cheeky cow! Anyone in the immediate vicinity just goes silent and stares. Even I was straight up not expecting that to come out of the guy's mouth. In a right huff, entitled mother stomps out of the shop, wailing little boy clutched in hand. I look at old grandpa, who just bursts into a fit of laughter. How did you know how to... Old grandpa then cuts me off and goes on to explain that his wife taught him to say that because she had this friend who would constantly poke fun at him knowing he wouldn't understand. His wife would nudge him and he delivered that line to shut her up. Old grandpa, even though you're not with us anymore on Earth, I'll never forget you and your refusal to take anyone's BS. I wish I had you for my granddad. R.I.P. Imagine being so entitled that you come to other people's homelands and yell at them for speaking their mother tongue. Our next Reddit post is from Angel Fire. Not my story, I read about it in our local newspaper years ago. It was quite a well-known story at that time. An elderly doctor couple with no children came to know about a newborn baby girl whom someone had left in a waste dump. The baby was about to die. They took her to the hospital and then formally adopted her. Years later, the girl herself became a doctor and earned good money. An old, poor couple came to the girl claiming to be her biological parents and demanded that she give them money, as they didn't have the means to provide for themselves. The girl didn't believe them, but after DNA tests, it was proven that they were indeed her biological parents. How they knew, that wasn't mentioned in the article. The couple kept demanding money from her, saying as she was their daughter, it was her responsibility to look after them in their old age. When the girl asked them why they left her to die, they tried to justify their actions and said that if they hadn't left her there, she wouldn't have so much money right now. It was because of them she had money, and so they deserved some of it. They wanted money as their other kids, sons mostly, either didn't earn or didn't want to take care of them. When the girl refused, they threatened to go to court against her. In retaliation, she sued them for abandonment and a few other charges. There was no follow-up article, so I don't know what happened to the girl or those pathetic excuses for human beings. Some say that the best revenge is a life well lived, and in this case, I'd say OP definitely got her revenge. Our next Reddit post is from Sleepy Ginger Sleep. My family and I moved back to my home country, New Zealand, a few years ago and brought over all of our animals. One of our cats became an outdoor cat and wandered to all of our neighbors' gardens, but she would always come back at night. One night, we noticed that she didn't come back, but we thought it was a fluke. One night became 1 week, and by then, we'd already called around our close neighbors and had printed out posters. One day walking home from school, my sister saw the cat in a neighbor's window and called our parents. My mother and I went to their home and confronted them about it. Our neighbors consisted of one mother, one father, and a little girl, about 7 years old. Apparently what had happened was she wandered into the garden. The neighbor's daughter managed to catch her and wanted to keep her, despite the obvious collar. The parents allowed her to keep our cat and replaced her collar. When my mother demanded that they give her back, our neighbor obviously refused and tried to twist the story to make it our fault, because we didn't offer to sell our cat when we moved in. I don't even know how a person can be that delusional. The mother claimed that it was unfair to her precious baby that we didn't offer to give them our cat because her daughter was younger than my sister and I. She said that our cat and her child had formed a bond blessed by God. I had had enough and called our cat, and the second she appeared, I grabbed her and ran away. The mother and child started to scream like banshees, so my mother followed after me. When the neighbor called the police and demanded that we give her back, they forgot the fact that microchips exist, and that was all the proof the police needed to see that she was ours. We did tell our neighbors who have cats to make sure to watch out for them. Hi, my name is rSlash. I just moved in down the street, and before I moved in, I just wanted to see if you want to buy my dog. What insane world does this lady live in that she thinks that's normal? Our next Reddit post is from Alicatbar. We've had to park the car slightly in the handicap loading zone because people, like this woman, keep parking their cars in it for hours, and then I can't get my wheelchair into my car. I'm in end-stage liver failure. And OP posts the note that this lady posted on her car. I'm a single mother, and it's really difficult carrying my babies and groceries up to my apartment when I can't park in the loading and unloading zone. It keeps happening. I'm sorry to say something. Just wanted you to be aware. Thank you, smiley face XOXO. And OP leaves this response to the entitled mother. To the single mom who left a message on my car. I'm so sorry that life is difficult for you right now and that you've been having trouble because you haven't been able to park in the handicapped loading zone. I know carrying groceries and kids is hard. You see, I park in the middle sometimes because you and others decide to park in this loading zone, making it impossible for me to use my wheelchair when I have to. You see, I'm in end-stage liver failure and have heart problems and am waiting for a liver transplant. So I'll move my car, but being as sick as I am home all day. If you park here without a handicap placard, I will call to have your car towed. Then it'll be very difficult to get your groceries home. XOXO. And naturally, this entitled mother has to get in the last word. The handicap parking is marked for you and your use. The loading and unloading zone is also marked for everyone's use, smiley face. If you need clarification, go talk to the office manager. And then OP posts an update. This was the response that was on my vehicle this morning. I took the letters over to the apartment manager and we're now colluding to have this woman's car towed. So I've moved my car. The apartment manager is sending out a warning to everyone in our building to not park in the access zone, and when she does, she'll be towed. I guess she should have checked with the property management. Our next Reddit post is from Layla Koch. So my boyfriend of 2+ years recently proposed on the top of the St. Louis Arch in front of his parents. He wanted his mom to record it, and a bunch of other people. I, of course, said yes and was crying. Total girl moment. My future mother-in-law sent the video to my dad, the good parent, and he texted me a congratulations and a, I knew you'd say yes. My fiance had asked his permission. At the end of the day, we decided to wait until after he graduates from college and gets his feet up. He graduates in 2021 and I graduate in 2024. Extra year for kinda double majoring. And he graduates first. So we decided to have the date set for November 24th, 2024, which is the day that we met. When I get home from visiting him and his parents at the end of the week, my dad hugs me and congratulated me. Then we drove home. We got home and I put my stuff in my room. My mom, who's abused me from age 8 after my dad divorced her and is the entitled mother, came out of the guest room. My dad told me she was staying here so she could work. I told him if she doesn't bother me, I won't bother her. We then talked briefly about plans and stuff and what my fiance and I had already decided upon. Then I mentioned our plans for me to wear a black wedding dress and have him wear a white suit. He's tan and looks amazing in white. I, however, look terrible in light colors because of my Irish genetics. Black suits me a lot more, and my dad loves it. My mom came out of the guest room and said, I'm going wedding dress shopping with you so you don't F up my day. Yes, her day. Not like I'm the one getting married. I told her the wedding dress has already been picked out, and she stops and cries and said how I ruined her special moment. I told all this to my fiance, who knows what she's like, and he said to calm down and reminded me that it's our wedding and we can do whatever we want. I also said that she'll probably wear white, and he said, I'll get a buddy of mine to spill red wine on her. Don't be scared. It's okay. And I forgot to mention, he was the star quarterback on his high school football team. The buddies are his football teammates, meaning she wouldn't dare go off on men twice her size with muscle the size of her head. OP, trust me, I've read many stories of entitled mothers trying to ruin weddings. Please listen to me when I give you this advice. You need to give a password to every single vendor who tries to buy things for your wedding. Because if your mom is even slightly like the other entitled parents out there, then she will try to change your wedding. Our next Reddit post is from Hollow V. When I was 11, my dad bought me a cat for my birthday. He was an orange fluffball named Angelo, and I loved him so much. Everything was my responsibility, cleaning the litter box, giving him food, brushing, etc. Anything you need to do to take care of a cat. A year later, I got a tiny gray kitten named Dexter. They were my babies. Then, the world fell apart. I never believed in the wicked stepmother stereotype until this. My dad and stepmom's fighting got worse and worse to the point where she would hit my dad. Her and her son, who did nothing but complain about the things my dad did. So my dad got out of there and went to stay with my mom while he looked for a new place to live. Everything was going fine until things started getting split in the divorce. By the terms of the divorce, 1, her son's car had to be put in her name so my dad wouldn't pay for it. That's another story entirely. 2, all of my dad's and my things had to be returned to our new apartment. 3, I got to keep my cats. Apparently, my stepmom didn't like number 3. She wouldn't return my cats. My dad contacted his lawyer multiple times to try to get Angelo and Dexter, but she kept refusing. Finally, my dad threatened to take her to court so that he could get the cats back. But wait, what's this? She doesn't have the cats anymore. She actually confessed that she released my cats in the middle of nowhere. And we have a lot of coyotes near where we live, so unless they were picked up by someone, they were almost definitely killed. Stepmom then told my dad he could have the house. She packed her things and left the state. I miss my cats. I haven't been able to get any since Angelo and Dexter, but I really hope to get one in the future. But I have a new stepmom now, and she's the nicest person in the world, so sort of a happy ending. I seriously believe that anyone who does something like this deserves to be prosecuted for animal abuse. Like, how is that not animal abuse? People like that make me sick. That was rSlash_Entitledparents, and if you like this video, then hit that subscribe button because I put out new Reddit videos every single day.